Welcome in to Run the League with Grayson Grunhafer on 365sports.com. Today I'm doing a 12-team PPR draft before the upcoming season. I know everyone's getting ready for draft season. It's underway, so hopefully this helps. Let's do it. Okay, so this is going to be a 12-team PPR draft. I know everyone has their big weekends coming up fantasy draft wise. I had a big one this past weekend. I have two more coming up. So I want to help everyone get prepared. It's draft season. Most people do 12 team, some do 10 team. Obviously you can adjust accordingly. But this one I'm going to show y'all kind of a team that I go through and draft. I haven't done a whole lot of drafting from the front part of the draft, even though I prefer it. I prefer the guys who get there, but most of my picks have been a little bit later. So I'm going to kind of show y'all what one looks like from the beginning. I'm going to use the fourth position on the draft board, and we'll just see how it goes. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive right in and see if I can't help y'all win some money this year in your fantasy leagues. Okay, so I'm at the 4 spot. We're going to get things going in the draft. I assume Christian McCaffrey will be going 1. Actually, Dalvin Cook. Wow. Going with the first spot. I find that to be really interesting. I'm taking Christian McCaffrey every time, especially in a PPR league. But Dalvin and Kamara, that's kind of your consensus. I was hoping Alvin Kamara would fall to me. Did not quite happen like that. So at the 4 spot, I'm still going to go with running back. There's just too many good running backs on the board here. But I'm going to surprise some people. There's a guy that I'm really high on, and I know he's currently ranked 12th on the board, 12 ADP. But I think Aaron Jones is going to have a massive season. I think once you get past the first 3, especially in PPR, it makes things a little bit more interesting because I don't have Derrick Henry as high because he just doesn't get the volume in the pass game. So I'm going to go with Aaron Jones at the 4th spot. Obviously, you're seeing Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Saquon, Zeke. Wow, that's great value for Zeke at the 8th spot. I prefer him over Chubb and Barkley. Jonathan Taylor at 9, Tyreek Hill at 10, Austin Eckler 11, Travis Kelce at 12. Obviously, you see the turn. Lots of wide receivers coming off the board. Najee Harris at the 2-3 spot. Like that pick there. And, of course, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, a guy that if you were listening to my breakouts and busts, he's usually going in the 3rd round, and he goes at 2-8. I think that's good value for him. I would have preferred to have gotten him in the 3rd round, obviously. So now I'm seeing here at 2-9. A common draft strategy for me has been taking a tight end in the 2nd round, but I think it's a little early for that, especially with the names that are still on the board. And kind of my dream scenario came together here as Calvin Ridley's still on the board. I love Calvin Ridley. I think he's going to be a top 5 receiver this year. So I'll take him at 2-9 to pair with Aaron Jones, Antonio Gibson, Joe Mixon, Justin Jefferson. And there's the problem. Waller and Kittle come off the board. And then Josh Jacobs. Wow, way early for Josh Jacobs, in my opinion. I prefer DeAndre Swift, Chris Carson, Dave Montgomery all over Josh Jacobs. So now that the tight ends are off the board here, it makes my decision pretty easy. I can go value and try to take a wide receiver, but since I only have one running back on my team, I'd like to get another one. So for me with this pick, it's really between David Montgomery or Chris Carson. I was a guy who was way off of David Montgomery and kind of ready to write him off, but now things are starting to come together for him. And I think if Justin Fields is starting quarterback, their offense will be better. It pains me to say this because I was so far off of him to start the year with Damian Williams being there, Tariq Cohen possibly coming back. But those things don't look like they're going to be obstacles anymore. So I'm going to take him at 3-4. Even in a PPR, I like to have 2 running backs at this point. Don't get me wrong. It was really enticing to take a Keenan Allen or an Allen Robinson there, but I think I'll get pretty good value at wide receiver on the way back. Lots of good names coming off the board. Tons of wide receivers. Josh Allen at the 3-9. Kyler Murray at the 4-1 and Lamar Jackson at the 4-3. Kyler is my number 1 quarterback this year, so I kind of like the value that he went there, but I won't be taking a quarterback till the 5th round at earliest. So I'm kind of out on the big names. So now we're seeing here at 4-9, and I have a couple different directions to go, but I'm looking at the wide receivers, and I'm really happy that I went running back in the last round, because I see a lot of guys that I really like this season at the wide receiver position. Chris Godwin, love him this year. The offense is going to be very explosive. Robert Woods, I think, has a chance to be a top 10 wide receiver this year, maybe even higher. And then, of course, Tyler Lockett, who's a guy that I really like this upcoming season. I think I can get Lockett in the 5th round. So I'm going to wait on Tyler Lockett, and I'm going to go with Godwin or Robert Woods. And I'm going to go with the guy who I believe has the higher ceiling, and that's Robert Woods. I think with Matthew Stafford coming in, he finally has a reliable quarterback who's not Jared Goff, obviously. And I think that's going to help his value exponentially. And wow, it worked out for me. Tyler Lockett came right back to me at the 5-4. So I'm pairing Calvin Ridley with Robert Woods and Tyler Lockett. I have the upside. I have the safe floor. Really happy with how this is coming together. So I'm taking Tyler Lockett at the 5-4. And I think this is a pretty good team. You know, I don't love David Montgomery, but I like that I have kind of a safe floor running back as my RB2. So I'm pretty comfortable right now. Let's see what some of these other guys did. Dak Prescott, 5-5. Jamar Chase at 5-6. I find that to be interesting. I would not be taking him that early. He's had some issues during preseason. I think he'll be better later in the year, but it seems like that year off from LSU is really, it's holding him back a little bit. And it seems like his teammate actually might be the number one there, which is T. Higgins. A bunch of running backs come off the board. Myles Gaskin, James Robinson, who had the big week last week with Travis Etienne getting hurt for the year. That's probably too low for him. I actually like him a little bit earlier. Sleeper probably hasn't quite updated his ADP yet. He'll probably be a 4th-round pick when it's all said and done. TJ Hawkinson off the board. Brandon Ayuk, Deontay Johnson off the board. Interesting that Juju goes before Deontay in this draft, and then Chase Claypool as well. I don't really know what to do with that wide receiving core, so I'm probably staying away from most of them, even though I do have Juju in one of my dynasty leagues. So here I am at 6-9. Currently, you see my team. I got Aaron Jones, Calvin Ridley, David Montgomery, Robert Woods, Tyler Lockett. I think I'm just going to continue to add value, but at this point in the draft, while I love the receivers on the board here, I really need to take a running back here, and it's mainly because of the news that we got this week. And that's that J.K. Dobbins is out for the year. That makes me a lot higher on Gus Edwards. I know this is a PPR league, but I like the safe floor that Gus Edwards is going to give me with touchdown production and guaranteed carries. And to get him at the 6-9, very happy with that. He'll be a nice RB3 for my team this year. Was definitely thinking about Chase Edmonds as well because it's PPR, but I'll hold off on that for now. And he made it back to me, but at this point, I already have 3 running backs, and I love the wide receivers too much to kind of stray away from that, especially because there's 2 guys that I absolutely love who are on the board right now. T. Higgins, who I think could be the wide receiver 1 in Cincinnati for most of the season, and then Jerry Jeudy for the Denver Broncos. I think Judy's about to have a breakout year, and to get him in the 7th round, very happy about that. I think I'm going to go with Jeudy over Higgins. Less competition for targets. Higgins has to deal with Tyler Boyd and, of course, Jamar Chase, whereas Jeudy is dealing with a banged-up Cortland Sutton and a banged-up Noah Fant. So I'll go with Jerry Jeudy there and kind of solidify my wide receiving core for the season. A lot more names come off the board. Some of the notable ones, I like Chase Edmonds this year in PPR. I think he could be pretty solid. Really like Trey Sermon, the rookie running back. He's a high-end prospect who I think could have a very nice season going forward. And man, I'm excited about this one. This couldn't have gone any better for me. I love Jerry Jeudy where I got him, but the guy that I'm about to get at the 9th pick of the 8th round, Laviska Shenault, yes, please. Yes, please. DJ Shark is dealing with injury. Marvin Jones is dealing with injury. This team is going to be terrible defensively, and Trevor Lawrence is going to throw for probably 4,500 yards. So where is that ball going to? Who's going to have those targets? Who's going to pick up the yards? Laviska Shenault, this is crazy value for him. I don't think it's going to stay that way heading into the season, but if you can get him in the 8th round, absolutely go for it. And now I'm pretty full at wide receiver. I now have 5 receivers who I really like, and now I got to start looking at other positions to try to fill in. Quarterback, tight end, I could definitely look at in the 9th round. Running back, not a lot of names that I like here. You look through the running back position, it's not great. Great value there. At tight end, my guy's still on the board, and I'm probably leaning that direction right now. I know it's the 9th round. It might be slightly early for me here, but the two names that I really want to highlight at the tight end position are Logan Thomas and Tyler Higbee. I really like both of them. I think they're both safe floor guys, and when you're not reaching on a tight end, when you're not looking at the high-end guys like Darren Waller, George Kittle, Travis Kelce, TJ Hawkinson, I think one of these two guys is who you want to aim for. And so I'm going to go with Tyler Higbee, a guy who I think is going to be a breakout this season, potential top 5 guy. So I'll go with Tyler Higbee with the 4th pick in the 9th round. Pretty happy with that. And so now I've filled out pretty much every position outside the quarterback spot. And my guy did go off the board, a guy that I really like for this season, Jalen Hurts. He went off the board just 2 picks after my selection of Tyler Higbee, and that makes things really interesting for me at the quarterback position. But I kind of want to wait on it just because of the simple fact that I think I'll be able to get the quarterback that I want on the way back. Pretty full at wide receiver, so I think I'm going to look at running back, and a guy who I really like again for this year is Jamal Williams. DeAndre Swift is dealing with an injury. I think that could linger into the season. I think there's a chance for re-aggravation, which means Jamal Williams could be a starting running back in the NFL, and you're getting him in the 10th round. Number 9 pick in the 10th round. That value is too insane. Jamal Williams, home run pick for me there. And then at a quarterback, there are 2 names that I definitely need to talk about here, and it's 2 rookies, Justin Fields and Trey Lance. I think both of them have tremendous upside, but I prefer Trey Lance's offense. I prefer the 49ers. I think if he gets the job, I think he's going to do a great job for the 49ers offense and a great job for your fantasy football team. And since I took Trey Lance as my starting quarterback, that means I definitely am going to have to take another quarterback later on in the draft, a guy with a safer floor. I'm not too worried about it. I think I'll find someone, but Trey Lance is a great option, and so is Justin Fields if you're looking for a high-end guy and really not taking a huge risk since you're getting them in the 11th round. So now moving on to my next pick at 12-9. Once again, ADP is just not caught up to this player yet, and that's Sony Michelle. He got traded from the New England Patriots this past week. He's now on the Rams. He's going to be taking up a lot of Darrell Henderson's work. And I think Sony Michelle is a nice backup running back, a nice complementary piece, and that helps my running back core quite a bit since I feel like it's lacking a little bit. With Gus Edwards and PPR, it's not great. I love my starting 2 running backs, but Williams and Michelle should help me ease some of those concerns. And I'm just kind of going to continue to hammer that position right here, in which I'm going to take Kenneth Gainwell. Again, don't love Miles Sanders this year, so I think Kenneth Gainwell could have a role on this team, especially in a PPR league. He was thought of as one of the best pass catchers in this class at the running back position. I think he'll have a role from day 1. So now I mentioned I need to take a quarterback. There's quite a few names on here when you're looking at guys like Carson Wentz. Mac Jones just got the starting job in New England. He's an interesting one. I don't really want 2 rookie quarterbacks on my roster, though. So the names that I'm going to be looking at here are Ryan Fitzpatrick, Ben Roethlisberger, and I guess Tua. And the only reason I say Tua is just because of the upside that comes with him. But I'm really intrigued by Ben Roethlisberger this year. I think he's the perfect veteran quarterback to have with a young, high upside quarterback. Very good roster with Deontay Johnson, Juju, Chase Claypool, and of course Najee Harris. I think he's got I think he could have a big season this year as he worked himself back. He was injured most of last season, and now I think he's kind of got it back together. He's got a really good roster with a lot of talent. So I'll go with Big Ben to kind of total in my quarterback position. So now, last pick in the draft, I'm going to go with a high ceiling pick. And if you're looking at some of the guys on the board here, you got Giovanni Bernard, good PPR guy. Ramondre Stevenson could be the backup in New England now. Wide receiver Rondale Moore, T.Y. Hilton, Jacoby Myers. I'm a big Rondale Moore guy. I took him in my Dynasty League. I think that he's going to be a guy who's just a target hog and a guy who's really going to be a safety outlet for Kyler Murray this season. He's an absolutely phenomenal playmaker with the ball in his hands, practically carried Purdue to their big season during his freshman year. I just think he's a very good prospect, a guy who went in the second round in the NFL draft, which shows you that Cliff Kingsbury and this offense want to utilize him. So I'm going to go with Rondale Moore to round out my roster for this season. And so far, I got to tell you, I really like my team. So at quarterback, I have Trey Lance, running back, Aaron Jones, David Montgomery to go along with Jamal Williams, Gus Edwards, Sony Michelle, Kenny Gainwell. Like I said, quarterback Trey Lance and Ben Roethlisberger. Wide receiver Calvin Ridley, Robert Woods, Tyler Lockett, Jerry Jeudy, Laviska Shenault, and Rondale Moore. And finally, at the tight end position, I have Tyler Higbee as the only tight end on my roster. I did not draft kicker or defense, and I did that on purpose because you can pick those guys up on the waiver wire right before your season. There's no use, in my opinion, in drafting them early. See what you have in the guys on your roster leading up to the season, and then make your waiver wire selections for week 1 and beyond moving forward. But hopefully you enjoyed this mock draft. Hopefully it helps you going into your drafts this weekend. I know I have a couple coming up, so I'm sure y'all do as well. But this has been Run the League with Grayson Grunhafer on 365 Sports.